Hello and welcome back, guys. My name is Halifax, and in all the videos up to this point we talked about how we can create a fix for 2D vision in OpenGL games. We talked quite a lot about the wrapper and how the wrapper works and what you need to do to create your fix. So in this video we are going to talk about how we can make a fix release. We are going to create the release configuration file, the nVidia profile, using the release version with the wrapper, and how we can add our custom logo to it. I talked and I said in the intro of the video documentation that we want to use the release version of the wrapper because the code is optimized and you get the better performance using that release, using that version rather than the development version, which has a lot of other features which I showed in these videos, and for normal gameplay basically you don't require them. They only make the code work slower. So if you remember last time in Broken Age we fixed all the shaders. I showed you how to create the frame per second unlocker, or how you can create your own custom frame per second unlocker. So yeah, if we launch the game again, we see a nice 200 and something frames per second. Everything is rendering in stereoscopic 3D. Everything works. We get very nice frames per second. The game works. As you can see, we still have our custom convergence if we want to use it, the toggle, and so on and so on. So yeah. So now that we have the fix done, or we have everything is working and we want to release this fix, the first thing we want to do is go back to the archive of the wrapper that probably you've downloaded from my website, and on x86 32 bits basically we have the development version of the wrapper, which is the one that we are currently using, and the release version. So as you might notice, the release and the development version of the wrapper uses a different configuration file. One is with DBG debug mode and one is without the DBG extension at the end. So we copy this one, we copy OpenGL 32, which is the actual release wrapper. As you can see, the size is different. And before we actually start the game, we open the release configuration and the debug configuration, which is the one that we use it for development. Yes, so now we put them side by side, and you'll notice the release version has a couple of options which aren't in the files, so are disabled basically. So we want the splash screen, enable log, doesn't really matter. There is no shader dump function in the release version. We want to enable 3D vision support. We want to enable window mode support. We use the depth multiplication of 2. There is no print debug information, and we want to use this point for the stereoscopic hooking point. We enable the vertex stereo injection point. This is the first point that we are using. We don't use a secondary one, a third one. Define. This is the uniform injection point, so we copy this one across. And the stereo string, this is the one that we are actually using. We put it there. There is no shader compiler options because there isn't any point of using this option in the release version. Then we said, so we can close this one, come on. Then we said alternative 3D settings. We have a toggle mode on true. This is the button, which is 0.4. Then this is the actual convergence value that we use the second time. Okay, and now we only need to add the vertex exceptions, which basically we copy from here, we copy to here, and we copy them like this. So now that we have the configuration file for the release version and we copied the release version of the wrapper, we can start the wrapper, and immediately you'll notice you don't see the red development version part in the logo, which you normally get when you're using the development one. We start the game. As you can see, the release version uses the frame per second injector, so the frame rate is uncapped, as you can see in the upper corner. Everything looks the same. Everything is working the same. So, up. Yeah. So, as you can see, everything works the same. So now that everything works the same, before we actually make a release, we need to do a couple of things. We'll make a new folder here called Broken Age Release, which will contain the files for the release. So what we want to copy is the configuration file, the wrapper of course, and the shaders folder, which contains our alternative shaders. And that's it. So these are the files required for the actual fix. Now before we go any further, you noticed that in Broken Age we saved during a video, earlier video, we saved the conversions that we are using, so Control minus, Control plus, and the nVidia hotkey for saving the current settings. So those settings actually got saved in the nVidia profile for this game, or in the nVidia profile this game is attached to. So we open nVidia Inspector, and if you remember, in the first video we added our custom profile named 3D Vision Wrapper, and you can see we have Wolfenstein and Broken Age there. So the convergence setting is this one probably, or that one, I don't remember exactly. So before we do anything else, we need to go and export this current profile. We'll save it in desktop Broken Age release. We'll name it Broken Age. Close that one. So we have it here now. We right click on it, edit with Notepad ++, and this is how the actual profile looks inside. What we want to go is here under profile name, we want to say Broken Age. Executable, we will remove Wolfenstein, and we have only brokenage.exe, the executable. We save it, we go back, we select 3D Vision Wrapper, we remove this profile because it was only used in development, so we remove it at all yes, profile removed, and we import our broken edge NIP. Let's hit apply, close it, and if you launch it again, sorry, you'll see the game works exactly the same. So I really encourage, when you're releasing a fix, to create the profile for that game, the exact profile for that game. Now if the game has a profile, an existing profile, which comes with the nVidia driver installation, what you can do is open Fire nVidia Inspector, search for it like Skyrim, for example, or the Elder Scrolls Skyrim, and basically when you're editing your profile, nVidia profile, if you basically here in the profile name you use the exact same name as the profile that already exists within the driver, when you import this profile back, it will overwrite it will be copied on top of the original profile. So that's what I wanted to say, basically. Now another thing, I want to show you regarding profiles. I delete this profile, I select another profile like 3D Armada, and I add broken edge. Oh, come on. I add broken edge to this profile. So let's see that we have the executable under another profile, and then I want to import my real or my 3D Vision profile. It says profile imported, but if I go under broken edge now, you actually see it's not being imported. The reason is because the executable is already attached to another profile. So yeah, if I remove it from this profile and I import my profile, it says again profile, and that is very weird because I don't know what happens there, but yeah, now I find it. So now you can see it's here. So yes, these are basically the files that you are needed to make a fix release. One last thing I want to show you. I can close this one. So if I open this one again, which is the archive of the actual wrapper. If you go here under release, you can see a custom logo folder, which inside there is a custom logo where a different bitmap with a custom logo thing. So if we edit it, and let's say you want to make your custom logo, and here you say my other custom logo, and you save it up, and I save it, and this one I import it here, so I copy it in next to the actual wrapper. When you start the wrapper now, you can see it's being loaded. So if you want to create your custom logo saying your name or what you fixed or what are the hotkeys or what do you require for the wrapper to work, this is the place. So the wrapper automatically looks for logo.bmp, and loads that one if it's found. If it isn't found, if it's not found, it will load my logo, my default logo, which is embedded inside the wrapper. So yeah, like you see, this one works. So the last thing, and which is also a very important thing, we have all the files, we have all the configuration files. The last thing that you need to make is a new file called readme, and inside this readme file you can say installation steps, and here you can say exactly your configuration. So in this case, for Broken Age, you can say nothing special, developed and tested on one GPU, no CLI, with 3D Vision 1, or whatever you want to say. Basically, what you need to say in the installation step is define the exact configuration specifics that are required for the fix to work. So if you want to test it, and if you can test it under SLI, 3D Vision, Surround, 3D Vision, the 3D TV Play, this is the place to say that I've tested using SLI, non-SLI, 3D Vision, Surround, 3D TV Play, and my fix is working under all of them. Now, for example, Broken Age I can't show you right now, but Broken Age, if you see exactly, you get a very nice frame per second up in the left corner, 306, 200 and something. This is currently on a single GPU. So on a single GPU, the moment I activate the second GPU, so I activate SLI, you'll get a 60 frames per second cap here. That's something to do with the driver. That's not actually something to do with the wrapper. The driver behaves differently when you're using SLI from when you're using one GPU. So for Broken Age, I recommend you can say that found better performance under one GPU. So yeah, that's what you can say in the README file, that you've noticed is working better under one GPU than in SLI. So you advise disabling SLI when playing this game. What I want to say exactly by define the configuration specifics that are required, I'm going to show you right now. So if I'm going to Wolfenstein, now here, as I showed you in the, another video, I have a skip intro and another and come allow console. So if I launch this one, you will see that the game starts. Yeah, it starts, you get 30 frames per second. Now the reason you don't see it in 3D is because I removed it. I removed the 3D Vision wrapper profile, so this executable is not attached. That's why we did it in the getting started video. So you can see you have 30 frames per second. Everything looks and works as expected. Yes, come on, load. Yeah, you can see the game looks exactly the way it should look. So now, if I don't use this shortcut, I use the normal executable, which actually launches or starts with all the intro. You already get a linking error here. See? In this case, it doesn't work. See? Linking error. Error is already defined, is already defined, is already defined, is already defined, is already defined. Now, this happens because the game generates different shaders when you're using the videos or when you're not using the videos. Basically, it generates an additional shader for the intro videos or something like that. So the fix only works when you're using skip intro option. If you're not using that one, as you can see, it's not working. The reason I showed you this is because I still get a lot of complaints on the website, on nVidia forums, that the wrapper doesn't work, or I get 5 frames per second. Well, of course you're getting 5 frames per second. It's because you're not actually reading the README file, where I specified for this fix that you actually need to have this shortcut and use this shortcut, not this one. As you can see, if you're using the regular version with the videos, it doesn't work. Now in the release version you don't get this linking error information, so yeah, it's working some of it because the shaders aren't created properly. So that's what I wanted to show. So now here you need to say make a shortcut with the following commands. So that's what you need to say, basically. That you need to add these commands to this executable to actually work. Otherwise, it will not work. Plain and simple as that. So that's what I mean when I'm saying define the exact configuration specifics that are required to fix for the fix to work. So enumerate all the things that you did, like in-game options that you are or were using when the fix was made. So what options, what graphical options, what resolutions, or I don't know. Some games you'll find that you develop the fix without using ambient occlusion, for example, and the moment you're starting the game with ambient occlusion enabled, it will not work. So you need to say, for the fix to work, you need to have ambient occlusion disabled or set to medium or set to low or whatever. That's why the README file must be created, and you must say exactly all the steps that are needed or are required to actually make the fix work properly. And of course, people should start reading that file, but apparently there are people, there still are persons who don't like reading 10 lines of text, basically. So yeah, we save it, and once you have this, you can basically create an archive, or you can create an installer like I have, and you can release it. You can tell other people that you have it. You can put it on geforce.com, on the forums, or you can put it on Helix mode if you already have access to it, or whatever you want to do. So yes, that's what I wanted to show. So this is basically how you create the fix and how you release it. Because we already fixed one game, I want to before we end up this video, I want to say another thing. So now that we fixed the game and we created the nVidia profile and so on, the next time we want to start fixing a game, I recommend every time importing the 3D Vision wrapper nVidia profile in nVidia Inspector and attaching your new game to this profile. So every time, because if you don't do this, when you're developing a fix, most likely you'll save the convergence settings for a specific game, and if you're using that profile on a different game, you'll probably notice that at some point you get a black screen and you wonder why. Well, that's why, because if you apply convergence to a game, that convergence value doesn't necessarily apply or is a useful one for another game. Basically, that's what I wanted to say. So with this in mind, and with everything that I explained so far, we pretty much close the official documentation videos. This was the last one. In the future, if I will add different features to the wrapper, I will make a special video dedicated for that feature. So with this in mind, I want to say thank you very much for watching all these videos. I hope you find all the information inside useful, and of course you can contact me if you have any problems or questions. You can always contact me, and I really hope you all the best and happy fixing. See you later, guys.